Sometimes I think that we Christians who gather week after week in a place of worship and hear the Word of God, we are the luckiest people in the world. And some Sundays that's particularly clear, because the world today is not a place of great peace and tranquility. It's a place of turmoil. It's a place of uncertainty. It's a place of fear in many, many lives. And things are just tumultuous, and the foundations of things have been shaken. And nobody knows quite what's going to happen next or how it will all work out. And yet, for us, who live in this world along with the rest of the world who's equally shaken, we get to come here and we get to hear this story, this amazing story at this moment in our lives. It's an amazing story, and it was just as amazing for the people who were a part of it as it is for us. It's a story about a vision of glory even in the midst of the hard travail that lies ahead, hard travail that's a part of our daily lives, those who long for justice and peace and some semblance of community in this world. It's of course the last Sunday of the season of Epiphany. And the season of Epiphany is the season of light. It's the light coming into the world. You remember, it started with the light of a star shining on an infant. And then week after week, it has been the shining of Christ's glory forth into the world as he begins his ministry. It's the season of light. And so this Sunday is the culmination of that season of light in this great, glorious, spectacular scene that we're told about today. This scene where Jesus is shining like the sun, we're told. The culmination of the season of light. But of course, it's also the doorway to the season of Lent. That time where the travel is hard. That time when nothing is easy and all leads to Jerusalem, and we all know what happens in Jerusalem. This is the doorway to that season. Of course, we all do know what happens in Jerusalem, and we know what happens on Easter morning as well. So this Sunday sort of is a pinnacle for 3 seasons of the church year. The season of Epiphany, and the season of Lent, and the intimation of the season of Easter thereafter. And so it holds a particular power. Remember what has happened in the gospel up to this point. Just in this chapter before this, Jesus, having been teaching Galilee for quite some time now, turns to his disciples and says, "Who do people say that I am?" And some say he's a prophet, and some say he's Elijah, and Peter gets it right. He says, "You're the Messiah, the Son of God." And Jesus says to him in this gospel, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah. You are the cornerstone of my community. And you shall, because this was revealed to you by God alone." And then he goes on to say, well, we're going to go to Jerusalem, and I'm going to be betrayed and put to death. And Peter says, oh, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what's going to happen to the Messiah. And Jesus says to him, get behind me, Satan, for you are talking the ways of the world rather than the ways of God. And then he goes on to say again that they're going to Jerusalem and he will be betrayed and put to death. So in a matter of just several verses, Peter is, on the one hand, identified as the cornerstone of the Christian community, and in the next hand, he's identified as Satan himself, the embodiment of the forces of evil. So we can imagine the kind of topsy-turvy feeling these disciples must have had at this moment in the journey. Thinking that they've figured this guy out, thinking maybe they're on the right track, and then discovering that track isn't really what they thought it was. Thinking that they've hung around somebody who they can now name as the Messiah, and then it turns out the Messiah, well, he's not quite the Messiah they thought. And there's something else going on here entirely. It's in that sense of uncertainty, when the foundations have been knocked out from under them, the foundations of self-understanding, understanding about what they're about in the world with Jesus. That's all been knocked out from under them. It's in that situation that they go up the mountain with Jesus this morning. And of course they get up the mountain, and this incredible scene happens where Jesus is shining like the sun, and Elijah and Moses are there talking to him. Luke tells us that they're talking to him about what's going to happen in Jerusalem coming up. And then a voice comes out of a cloud and says, "This is my son, my beloved. Listen to him."